Hi and welcome. It's good to see you. We are doing a midweek talk. We've been looking over the last few weeks during lockdown at some of the evidence for God. We've thought about creation. We've thought about suffering, and just extending that series. I want to look at some of the issues and some of the arguments around the Christian faith. And in this little talk, I want to look at the question, who was Jesus? If you're a Christian, I guess you've already got your answers to that, but hopefully this will help you explain and think about some of that with your non-Christian friends. If you're not a Christian watching this, I want to help guide you through some of the options as we think about who was Jesus Christ. In a sense, it's the biggest question. It is one of the biggest questions that we need to think about and we need to answer. So who was Jesus? If you ask the man in the street, I think, there's no question, and there's no question historically that Jesus existed. Even the atheist academic historians aren't going to question that. We know he existed. The question was, who was he? What was he? And I think if you ask the man in the street, a lot of people will say, well, clearly he was a good person, perhaps a prophet, perhaps a great moral teacher. But I don't believe, many people would say, that he was any more than that he was God or the Son of God. But perhaps just a great guy who said some good stuff, a rabbi, a teacher, a prophet. And what I want to do in this session is put to you that is not an option. That there are only really three options for Jesus. If you want three that rhyme, then it's mad, bad, or God. And if you prefer it to think about it with some alliteration, then he is a lunatic, a liar, or he is the Lord. Lunatic, liar, or Lord. Mad, bad, or God. Those, and I'll explain why, are really your only three options for Jesus. What you cannot say is he was a good teacher, a prophet, a rabbi. Why not? Why is that not an option? The reason is this. Jesus made a whole load of claims which are absolutely outrageous. It's clear that he made them. They're recorded in the New Testament. And really, this is why he got crucified. Because he made claims that were blasphemous. He once said to the Jewish crowd around him that he had existed before Abraham. Well, Abraham lived 2,000 years before Jesus Christ. So to make the claim that you existed before Abraham is pretty outrageous. Jesus also made the claim that he had the authority to forgive sins. Now, if I said something like that, I hope you'd, have me shut away, because only God can forgive sins. Jesus made the claim that he would one day judge all mankind. Well, again, that's an outrageous thing for an ordinary human being to say. In many different ways and in many different places, Jesus clearly made the claim to be God. At the Last Supper, he says to one of the disciples, Thomas, he says, if you've seen me, you've seen Father God. Again, that's outrageous. I would never in a million years, can you imagine that if I stood up in the pulpit and said, if you've seen Richard Bentley, you've seen God. No. Blasphemy, outrageous. But Jesus said those things, many, many things like that, which are unequivocally a claim to be God, to be divine. Now, that's without question. That's there in the New Testament. Jesus said that. And as I say, it got him killed. But that leaves us with a dilemma, because what you cannot then say is that he's just a good teacher or a prophet. Because here's the thing. Good teachers do not make those sorts of outrageous claims for themselves. A good teacher says, let me show you the way. This is the way. Jesus says, I am the way. He's bigoted. A good teacher says, let me tell you the truth. Jesus says, I am the truth. He's bigoted. A good teacher says, here's how life should be lived. Jesus says, I am life. In other words, he goes way beyond anything that a good prophet, that a good teacher would say. A good prophet points to God. Jesus says, I am God. No good teacher would say the sort of outrageous, outlandish, bigoted things about themselves that Jesus did. So if Jesus made those claims, you've only got three options. One is, he's a lunatic. He's mad. He's deluded. He's got grandiose narcissistic problems. You know, he thinks too highly of himself. He thinks he's God, but he's not. You know, that's one logical possibility. The second logical possibility is that he's bad. He's a liar. He's making this stuff up to scam people, to manipulate people. He's saying that he's God and that he's the forgiver of sins and the judge of all people, when he knows jolly well that he's not. That he's just one of the many, many religious scammers, and there are still plenty on TV today who have come along to take your money and to lead people astray. That's the second logical possibility. The only other option is that he's telling the truth. That he is who he said he was. That he is God in the flesh. That he is the great God of history. That he is before Abraham. That he is all those things that he claimed to be. We might not like that possibility. That might sound strange to us, yes. But that's the only third option. He's either mad, or he's bad, or he's God. What you cannot say is that he is just a good man, just a good teacher, because good people do not ever come anywhere near to making those outlandish sorts of claims. If you want to follow this argument up, I'm actually basing what I'm saying here on an argument that C.S. Lewis made many years ago in one of his books, and you can follow it up. You can follow it up there. But those are your only three options. You cannot say he was a good teacher, a great rabbi, because good rabbis, good teachers do not make the claim to have come from heaven. They do not make the claim that if you've seen me, you've seen God. They just don't. So which is it? Are we going to write Jesus off as mad, as deluded, as crazy? Are we going to say that he's bad, that he's a scammer, that he's a liar, that he knows jolly well that he's, leading people astray? Or are we going to accept that he is who he said he was? Those are your only three options. What you've then got to do is look at the evidence. Do the things that he says and the things that he does look like the actions and the words of a madman? Does he appear to be crazy? If he was crazy, would he really have had the influence over so many people and so much of history that he's had? Does that really add up? Is he bad? Does the Sermon on the Mount, which is widely recognized as the best moral teaching that this world has ever been offered by anybody, does it really come from the lips of a man who is bad, who is a liar, who is knowingly deceiving people? Does that make sense? And if it doesn't add up that he is mad, and it doesn't add up that he is bad, I would put it to you that there's only one option left. And that however strange that might seem, and however difficult to contemplate, that actually the only option left is that Jesus was who he claimed to be. The Son of God, God in the flesh. God come from heaven to earth to connect with mankind. God in our shoes. That might be a startling conclusion, but it fits the evidence better than writing him off as a madman or condemning him as a bad man. And those are the only three options you've got. Jesus once asked his disciples, "Who do you reckon I am? Who do you say I am?" And I want to put that question to you. What do you say? Who was he? Which option are you going to go for? You can't have, "Oh, he was just a good guy." It's not an option. Which is it then? Who do we say? Who do you say Jesus was?